Hey, what's up? This is Funnel. I'm a mastering engineer, also a mixing engineer, and I also work on the Cloudbounce online mastering engine. Those are the two things that keep me busy. And I wanted to talk real quick about things that you can expect from mastering and what not, and what mastering can do and what it cannot do. One thing, control dynamics. One thing that often separates the work of a professional producer and a less professional one is the song and its dynamics. For example, if your drums are too separate from the rest of the music, we've got used to hearing compressed music. So mastering, it makes sure that the dynamic variation isn't too big. Altering loudness, that's one thing. Everybody wants to get their song as loud as commercial music, and that's the job of mastering. You limit the song in mastering. Before limiting happens, the mix is balanced. Sometimes things and frequencies are a little over the place in a pre-master, so before mastering, those frequencies are tamed and controlled so that the song can actually take the amount of limiting required to take the song to the commercial level. Balance must be achieved before limiting can happen. And one thing relating to that is taming resonances. Resonances in the mix often build up. One source, a very common one, is room resonance that you get from recording things in a room, and they build up in the mix. Sometimes it's maybe a little bit hard to hear if you're listening to the track in the song separately, but in the master they build up, and in mastering those resonances are controlled. One thing in mastering, adding a little bit of stereo width. The power is always in a strong mono mix, but adding a little bit of stereo width never hurts. It's ear candy. It sounds good. Mastering cannot save squashed dynamics. If you compress the life out of your snare drum, mastering will not be able to put it back. Distortion. There are plugins that can sort of undo clipping, but never ever rely on that. Make sure there is no distortion on the master. That often happens when producers run their song over the zero headroom limit. If you're unsure, just do a 32-bit bounce. One thing that mastering cannot do is boost elements separately. That can be done in mixing, but let's say if your snare drum is too quiet in the mix, it can be pushed up in mastering to an extent, but that will also pull up other elements. Also, mastering cannot take one element completely out of the mix, because that also relates to my previous point, because sounds will always overlap. Like snare drum is not ever like here and then other sounds are here and there, because they always overlap, and that's why addressing one thing always affects other things as well. In a nutshell, mastering will not be able to fix the mix for you. If you have a decent mix, you will get a decent master. Don't expect mastering to fix your mix completely. Often, a good master is the result of a conversation between the producer and the mastering engineer. Sometimes master gives you sort of like feedback on your mix. Like you listen to the master and you hear something and then you want to go back to the mix to fix it. That's how it often works, even in online mastering services. For example, if there is noise in your song, mastering usually brings it up thanks to compression and limiting. That's it. Make sure your mix is tight. Make sure your pre-master is good and well, and you will probably get a pretty good master. That's it for now. I hope this helps.